Thank you, everyone, and welcome to Northfield Golf Club, the Beach House events. We're so happy to have a full crowd here today on a beautiful spring afternoon. So if this isn't your first time here, we host events, special events, social events, and live music throughout the summer. And of course, we have our 9-hole golf course you get to preview on your way in. What a perfect setting for today's outdoor rec, a scene for the afternoon. We hope you have a wonderful afternoon, and I would like to thank our sponsors for First Light, and Andy Bridges will be up to say a couple words.
Thank you, Shelby. And again, you hit it. Always seem to hit well with the weather here when there are events. First Light is really proud to help sponsor this lunch and to be part of the extensive outdoor recreation ecosystem here in Franklin County. First Light, as you know, is a power producer, and people are always a little bit confused when they're looking for a trail report for their cross-country ski trails and find themselves on the website of an electricity power producer. And it can be confusing, but because we use the river as a public resource to generate electricity, we're obligated by our federal license to provide recreation and access to the river. But truly, we do it as a lot more than just an obligation. I'm really so thankful to work alongside an amazing, energetic, and talented team of recreation and land management professionals, and I want to publicly acknowledge the ones that have joined me here today. Brett Young is our Senior Manager for Recreation and Programming. Hannah Coffey and Nora Judkins are here today. They both joined us in the last year and are bringing some really important new energy and ideas as we continue to grow. So First Light manages over 4,000 acres of land along the Connecticut River and around Northfield Mountain, and we offer a variety of outdoor recreation opportunities. I'm not going to go extensively, but they really do play an important role in drawing visitors to the area. So adjacent to the dam down in Montague, we run the Fishway, which brings in about 1,000 visitors a year. And if you haven't been there recently this year, we're really excited to be re-landscaping the whole area, refreshing it, and partnering with Franklin Tech welding program, who's designed some really awesome public art. We just had a ribbon cutting for that the other day. Jesse got to come, and it's fantastic. It's really worth the trip to see stuff above the water, much less the fish going by below it. Down at Northfield Mountain, on top of the largest energy storage facility in New England, is a 26-mile trail system that's used extensively for hiking, biking, horseback riding, and in the winter, and especially this winter, finally, we had some snow for skiing and snowshoeing. We had over 700 skiers this winter, and I think in the last 3 years combined, we've had about 7. So that was good. People often ask me, why do you mow that big field in front of Northfield Mountain? Isn't there a better thing you could be doing with your time than mowing that field? But then they drive by on the weekend and they see 1,000 cars parked there for the Massachusetts Cross Country Running Championships, for the Great River Challenge, for cyclocross events, other mountain biking competitions. This year we're hosting the U.S. National Canoe Association Nationals Contest in August. We even hosted a pig roast for the Northfield VFW as part of the town's winter weekend. And I can tell you that watching a bunch of vegan cross-country skiers cross paths with a bunch of carnivorous VFW families at the visitor center was must-see television in February. On the Connecticut River, departing from the Riverview picnic area here in Northfield, is a narrated Connecticut River cruise, a 44-person pontoon boat that we run. Happy to have Ryan is our Northfield native and boat captain. And this year, we're partnering with Cameron's Winery, who's going to run, I think, 3 wine tasting cruises on the river. So find a good sunset and join us for that. Further down in Gill, we rent canoes and kayaks at Barton Cove and run campgrounds that, together bring in about over 2,000 visitors a year. So the last thing I'll just say is this recreation team has been working really hard to have a growing focus on accessibility. And I invite other business owners here to come talk to us and learn about some of these programs. Last year, we became an autism welcoming business. And we've trained our staff and carved out sensory-friendly hours for some of our more structured activities to support people with autism and their families. And for those few activities we have where there is a charge, we provide seasonal library passes so people can access those, local people can access those things without a charge. And this year, for the Riverboat Cruise, we're excited to have joined with over 400 other organizations to participate in the Massachusetts Card to Culture program, and that'll offer free admission to holders of EBT, WIC, or connector carrier cards. So the cost is no longer a barrier for low-income houses to access that resource. So we're really proud to do those. We're happy to share our experiences and talk, to anybody who'd be interested in learning more about those. But mostly, I hope you enjoy your lunch. Thank you for having us, and we'll enjoy the show. Thanks.
Thank you, Andy. So, as you just heard, it is no coincidence that First Light is today's lunch sponsor, because this event just represents a perfect intersection of the top 3 priorities First Light has: outdoor recreation, supporting small businesses, and local economic development. First Light has been a fantastic partner to the Chamber and consistently and continually shows up to support so many different charities, nonprofits, municipalities in Franklin County, whether it's, offering grants to students so they can attend college, or championing environmental sustainability. First Light leads by example. We are just so grateful. I grew up exploring Northfield Mountain with my family. Now our 3 kids get to have the same experience. We paddle around Mountains Cove. We go see the Fishway and check on the shad, or as my son Cooper says, the chads. He still can't understand why there's so many fish named Chad. But if you haven't been, please do. There's a beautiful section now, thanks to Franklin County Tech and Snow and Sun's Landscaping, and we're really excited to offer that to our visitors. So these experiences are just a part of what makes Franklin County so special, and First Light helps make them possible. So thank you, First Light. So we are going to keep those hands going, because we also owe a huge thank you to Hamels Catering and Shelby and Ed and our friends at Northfield Golf Course for hosting us today. Thank you. I know I say this every year, but it was supposed to rain today. Look at this. I don't know what kind of witchcraft Shelby has, but if you are planning an event or a wedding, or you know someone who is, have it here, because Shelby controls the weather. It is unreal. Not only is this one of the most beautiful spots in Franklin County, but it is also the only venue that we felt like was truly on par with today's program, if you know what I mean. Which you do, because if you look around, you can see we have a full tent today. This is sold out, which just confirms what we've known all along, that outdoor rec is in. It could also be the cash bar. I don't know. But let's assume that it's the discussion. Before we tee off with the program, I promise, I'm going to stop soon. There's only a few more. But we do want to welcome some new members and some folks who are attending their first Chamber breakfast. So please wave or stand when I call your name. Welcome to Matt Devona from Mount Grace Land Conservation Trust. Welcome, Matt. From Franklin Regional Council of Governments. Jackie College joining us from Dial South Youth and Community Services. Welcome, Jackie. And shout out to Jackie, because this is Jackie's first event, and did you see Jackie was at the door helping? Yes. Get yourself a Jackie. Matt Donovan is here from Greenfield Cooperative Bank. Welcome, Matt. Welcome to Tony Hall from the Franklin County CDC and Western Mass Food Processing Center. Our rec departments are represented here today. Our good friends Shayla Demers and Kelly Jenkins are joining us from Greenfield Rec Department. And hometown hero Stacey Bond is here from the Northfield Rec Department. Welcome, Stacey. And welcome to Lisa Powell and Ashley Lipka from the Franklin County Sheriff's Office. Welcome. Angie just mentioned, Hannah Coffey and Nora Judkins are here from First Light. Welcome. Welcome to Maggie Nugent from the Franklin County Technical School. Thanks to friends who made the hike from West County, Danielle Thornton and from the Mary Lyon Foundation, and Luke Torito from Berkshire East and Thunder Mountain Bike Park. A big thank you to our neighbor Laura Samowski from Historic Deerfield and to Glenn Johnson Musad from the town of Irving. And then last but not least, this is not their first chamber event, but I do want to recognize how grateful we are to be joined by Mod Director Kate Fox, who's going to be stepping up to the podium here in a second. Also Representative Susanna Lips, Representative Natalie Blair here in the back, Representative Aaron Saunders, and from Senator Comerford's office, Elena Cohen. Thank you very much for being here. I know I say it all the time, but we are so lucky. These are some of the hardest working folks in the State House, and we are so lucky to have them representing Franklin County and Western Mass. I won't ask you to buy them a drink, but just know you should. They represent Franklin County both in terms of policy and in terms of priority, and if you want to hear more about that, you can next month at a Franklin County Legislative Breakfast, which is on June 20th at Eagle Brook. It's going to be great. Thank you, Natalie. You can flip your programs over and actually register for that right now. If you remember, that does tend to fill up very quickly, so please make sure that you get in while you can. We're going to be shifting the way we structure that event slightly so that it's a little more comprehensive. So we're going to be asking you to actually submit questions ahead of that event that we'll do a live Q&A while we're there. So if you have a burning question that you want to ask Natalie or Susanna or Aaron, any of our fantastic legislators, don't do it today. Submit it online and we'll do it live on the 20th. All right, moving on to announcements. I said I wasn't going to do any announcements, so naturally we have a lot. We're going to do it real quick. So tomorrow is B-Fest. Woo! Yes! The 15th annual B-Fest is happening in Greenfield in downtown. This is, of course, the celebration of the father of modern-day beekeeping, Lorenzo Langstroth, and it features all kinds of fun activities like a cute little bee parade, and there's cake. And then at noon, you can join us and MDAR Commissioner Ashley Randall for the unveiling of the new MDAR bee, which will actually be housed at the Big E. So this is a really big deal. It's going to be so fun. Be there or be square. All right, and speaking of sticky business and sweet deals, our friends at All States Materials Group celebrated Asphalt Day yesterday. I bet you did too, right? Yes, great. And in honor of that, you can receive a discounted registration for their June 7th Pound the Pavement 5K. If you want more information on that, you have flyers right there on the table that you want to use code Asphalt Day. Okay. And if you want to support a great cause, but you don't want to work up a sweat, join Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Western Mass for their 0.5K on Thursday, July 17th. That is a great opportunity to grab your friends and family and stroll casually around the loop at the Franklin County Fairgrounds and fill up on lots of great food. It's really fun. Where's Chris? Is there a theme this year? Okay, there's going to be a theme. It's going to be great. Stay tuned for that. Also, the Friends of the Greenfield Rec Department would like me to remind you that you can get paid for your brilliance at the upcoming Triple Trivia Night at the Greenfield House on Thursday, 26th at 5:30. Winning teams take home cash prizes, and you can register today using the QR code on your table. All right, lots of great opportunities to support great local causes. I also, in keeping with some good news, want to share that we have, I think, a record-breaking number of Franklin County professionals who are going to be honored at the Business West 40 Under 40 Awards next month, including, yeah, it's a big deal, including our own Kate Menifee, who is here from the Franklin County CDC, Chelsea DePaul, who is here with Ellie from Greenfield Cooperative Bank, and then also Jeff Neinheim, who is not here but in United Way is represented, as well as I think maybe 5 others. It's a really good group. So if you would like to join me in supporting those folks, that event is scheduled for June 19th, which is the night before the legislative breakfast. That is always how it goes. We should really fix that. But it is at the Mass Mutual Center, and tickets are on sale now, so grab those. And then finally, one big last thank you to everybody who stepped up and helped support our Buy 25, Get 50 County gift card promotion last Wednesday. We sold 400 gift cards in under 3 hours, which means that there is now more than $20,000 floating around Franklin County and Franklin County gift cards that will go directly to our small businesses. I want to give a big shout out to Marion, who processed most of those gift cards. So we ended up pulling an online link, and Marion got to talk with most of Franklin County that morning, I think. Luckily, a lot of them were very lovely and patient, some not so much, but Marion is just a true hero. Thank you so much. And a big thank you again to Merrill and County Wealth Management for stepping up to support that incentive. Really great opportunity to make shopping local fun and celebratory and buzzworthy, and I think we're going to try to do it again. So if you missed out this time, stay tuned. And if you're a small business that wants to get in on that, we'd love to send some of that $20,000 away. So connect with us. It's super easy to get set up. It's free for chamber members. So let us know if you want in. Okie dokie. Now, before we dive into today's program, I just want to quickly set the stage for today's discussion and tell you a little bit more about the work we do at the Chamber and why it matters. So you all know and love us as your local Franklin County Chamber, but did you know that we are actually also one of 16 regional tourism councils in the state of Massachusetts? That means that we are responsible for promoting Franklin County as a visitor's destination, not just to our neighbors, but to travelers across the state and country and beyond. And as a regional tourism council, we are in the business of telling Franklin County's story strategically, creatively, and consistently to the people who are most likely to visit, stay, and spend. And we're doing a pretty great job of that. Not to toot our own horn, but hold on. So this past year, Franklin County welcomed 4.5 visitors for every one resident. So a visitor, as the state defines it, is someone who travels more than 50 miles. So that's not folks in Northampton. That's folks in Maine and northern Vermont and New Hampshire. So that didn't happen by accident. There's a strategy there. We have built an entire tourism brand from scratch. Some of you are already following our More to Franklin County account. If you're not, this is a great time to do it, More to Franklin County. And we've modernized our marketing plan so that it's driven by data, digital engagement, and an AI-informed understanding of our top markets, interests, and destinations. Since then, social media engagement has more than doubled. Our reach has grown by 369%, and we've attracted nearly 26,000 unique visitors to the website just in that year. That visibility matters because visibility equals visits, and visit equals dollars. Tourism is not a small part of our economy. In 2023 alone, direct visitor spending in Franklin County reached $105 million. That's up 2.7% from the year before. Tourism supported 934 local jobs, with wages and salaries up 13.3%. And perhaps the most exciting for anyone balancing town budget, local tax receipts grew by 23%, contributing nearly $2 million directly back into our communities. Yeah, it is a big deal. And we're not just throwing up pretty pictures, although they are very pretty, and hoping for the best. We are using destination data, influencer partnerships, digital storytelling, and targeted outreach to attract exactly the kinds of visitors who are going to stay longer, spend more, and come back again and again. We've promoted Franklin County as a four-season destination for boomers who are seeking peaceful scenic getaways, millennials chasing in-store-worthy adventures. Did you know 90% of millennials choose a destination based on how in-store-worthy it is? I know. I'm a millennial. I'm just saying. Gen Z is looking for authenticity, purpose, and positivity, and we have welcomed all of them to a place that feels both adventurous and authentic. The Franklin County Chamber isn't just a convener, although you could say we do a pretty good job of that. We are also a catalyst. We are building a future with tourism strengthens the economy, supports our small businesses, builds our main streets, funds our public services, and reminds us all, residents and visitors alike, what a remarkable place Franklin County truly is. We do that, but we don't do it alone. We are so grateful for the many partnerships we have, many of the businesses and organizations who are here in this room, including the Fairgrounds, FERCOG, GCC, Mass Higher Workforce Board, DCR, and surrounding RTC partners, our legislators, Berkshire's, Tilton Anglers, so many, many more. But a lot of this success would not be possible without the partnership, guidance, and investment that we receive from the Massachusetts Office of Travel and Tourism. Our ability to amplify Franklin County's voice across the state and country is directly tied to the state's commitment to regional promotion, and I am so grateful for the partnership that we built with MA to make that happen. So now it is my pleasure to introduce someone who arguably has the best job in state government. She is in charge of vacations, and that is Kate Fox, who is the director of Massachusetts Office of Travel and Tourism, which means that when you are dreaming about your next vacation, it is her job to make sure that it's here in Massachusetts. Kate has been a tireless advocate for elevating the role of outdoor rec in our statewide tourism strategy, and we are so pleased to have her here. So please help me welcome Kate Fox.
Thank you, Jessie. We need to give a round of applause to Jessie Dean because she is a superstar. Yeah. I love coming to Franklin County. I live north of Boston, and there are days when it takes me as long to drive to the office in Boston as it took me to drive out Route 2 this morning. And so thank you. Every time I'm invited, I say, yes, get me out to Franklin County. It's just beautiful. It's wonderful. I have a son at UMass Amherst. Usually I turn left off of Route 2, so it's always a treat to turn right and come north. I did not grow up in Massachusetts. I am a New Yorker by birth. Please forgive me. But I did grow up in a family that prioritized outdoor recreation, from cycling and mountain biking to cross-country skiing, sailing, fishing, swimming, and canoeing. My father used to be a fly fisherman. I never got into that, but I liked to watch. Getting outside has always been a priority. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I wasn't a huge fan of the hills and the mountains when we went on family vacations that involved bicycling and cross-country skiing. But the promise of a mountain coaster, snowmobiling, or a rope swing cannonball into a river always made me push those pedals and dig into the ski edges to get to the top. And the downhills were always rewarding as well. So it's my pleasure to be here and talk about the Massachusetts Office of Travel and Tourism and what we're doing in tourism statewide as well as outdoor recreation. And it is my privilege to promote Massachusetts as a great destination to travel to and within. And I'm going to add a little to the definition of a tourist. It's somebody who travels more than 50 miles or spends a paid overnight. So if I stayed the night, I'd be a tourist. And so that gives us the ability to promote travel within the state. And we do that with a lot of targeted advertising. And we promote our world-class art museums, our iconic sports venues, dynamic city neighborhoods, charming coastal towns, and vibrant cultural festivals, as well as the mountain vistas, scenic byways, outdoor concerts, trails, reflections, inspiration, adrenaline, and adventure. All is part of the Massachusetts experience. We're also in the middle of Massachusetts 250, which is the commemoration and celebration of the semi-quincentennial of the American Revolution. And we're using this as a way to promote Massachusetts as a place that is revolutionary still today. And so through the themes of Massachusetts First, I didn't know the first B story, so we got to get that on the website, but through Massachusetts First and through things that are revolutionary today as they were in 1775 and 1776, we are building a statewide campaign to engage organizations, businesses, and communities in the campaign to promote the state. And that is as much an economic development campaign as it is a tourism campaign. It is a reminder to all of us that Massachusetts is the best place to live, work, and raise a family, and to travel. The other thing that truly excites me is promoting moments that are rooted in nature, in place, and community that leave a lasting impression and keep people coming back to discover more of Massachusetts. Travelers today are looking for an authentic experience. They're looking for something that they can do that's different. It might be Insta-worthy. It might just be unplugged. There is a huge drive right now for dark sky tourism. People want to get away from the city lights, and I know you have that here. So we are working to put all of these things together thematically and drive more domestic and international travel to Massachusetts. We focus on the domestic. Under that, we also focus on group tours. So if you're working with student groups or adult groups and you aren't afraid of a tour bus, we have the Massachusetts Office of Travel and Tourism back at the American Bus Association for the first time in 10 years. We also do international marketing. We work with our partners at Discover New England and also IPW, which is put on by U.S. Travel, our federal partners in attracting more tourism to Massachusetts or to the U.S. And we want people to come to Massachusetts as part of that. We create welcoming messages to make sure that people from wherever you're coming have a sense of belonging. And we want to promote places where visitors can engage with locals, explore at their own pace, and experience community, even if just for the day, and hopefully for an overnight or two. Travelers today want flexibility and personalization, and they also want their choices to reflect their values. They're drawn to places prioritizing sustainability, cultural preservation, community impact, and natural resources. And for many, the most personal experiences are happening outdoors. Massachusetts has everything it takes to lead this next chapter, rooted in history, alive with culture, and grounded in natural beauty. In Massachusetts, outdoor recreation is a key driver for tourism industry. From hiking and biking to paddling and snowshoeing, our trails, forests, rivers, and mountains attract visitors year-round, fueling billions in economic impact and supporting over 100,000 jobs. These travelers spend money on lodging, dining, gear, transportation, boosting local businesses, and generating vital tax revenue. Rural tourism is critical because it broadens our appeal beyond cities and highlights the authentic nature-based experiences in places like Franklin County. Tourism in rural areas sustains local inns, restaurants, farms, recreational outfitters, and other businesses, and it helps to preserve open spaces, support agritourism, and celebrates our cultural heritage. So you've already heard all the economic impact from Jesse, so I could take this page and just ignore it, because you probably got some of it from Bob Van Dam, our research director. He's the best. And I'm going to jump. I have lots and lots of bullets about how important tourism and outdoor recreation is, and I'm going to jump to the end to say we have a staff of 12 that is dedicated to promoting travel in and within Massachusetts. And usually, I wish I was the person coming out here, but our director of marketing, Julie Arison Bishop, I know she's been out a couple of times. She's our ski person, so she's been out skiing our 11 ski areas in Massachusetts. Charlie Tykotski, our deputy director, is in charge of sports, so he gets to go to all the games and celebrate with all the teams, which is great. I'm doing it wrong. I don't know how they all got these great jobs. And we are all working to bring more travel writers, more trade representatives, and more people who are going to tell the story of Franklin County and the story of Massachusetts to drive more tourism and more audience and attendance to all of your businesses. So from the Berkshires, the Connecticut River, the Deerfield River, the Mohawk Trail, we offer iconic locations for passive recreation and thrill seekers alike. Outdoor recreation isn't just it's integral, and it provides jobs, quality of life, and pride of place. We look forward to working with all of you. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak today. Take a look at visitma.com, come to Massachusetts250.org, and feel free to reach out with any questions. I'm happy to work with you. Thanks.
How great is Kate? So good news is I stole some of Katie's talking points. She stole some of mine, so we are just going to move this right along. And get into really the heart of today's discussion. I am going to save you all from making the point, but do we all recognize how important outdoor recreation is?
Yes.
All right. You almost convinced me. I'm going to give you one statistic because I didn't fully believe it just then. So in 2020, nearly half of all full-time jobs in Charlotte were for outdoor recreation and entertainment, and that sector is projected to grow by 36% by 2030. And it's not just Charlemont, as Kay said, it's across the county. Massachusetts is leading the nation in terms of outdoor recreation. There was a 13.3% jump in the state's GDP from the year before. We are the fastest growth in the country. And, you know, in a lot of ways, that surge is due in part to the commitment the state has made to promoting outdoor rec. So you may be familiar that the Massachusetts Office of Outdoor Recreation is a brand new department, which is run and led by Paul Janey. He can't be here today because he's at his daughter's graduation, but he was thrilled to hear that we were having this event, and he's been a fantastic partner for us. So I did just want to make sure that we gave a shout out to Paul. And now let's hear from some local leaders who are helping turn Franklin County's natural playground into a year-round engine for jobs, investment, and innovation. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of it. Let's get into it. Our first speaker is Brian Gilbert, who is the owner of Hilltown Anglers and Western Mass Guide Service in Coleraine. A fun fact you may not know, I didn't actually when I started this job, even though I'm born and raised in Franklin County, is that Franklin County is quickly earning a reputation for some of the best fly fishing destinations in the country. And Brian will tell you, we're also home to some of the best fly fishing guides in the country. He would know he is one of them. I was lucky enough to go out last spring with Brian and Rebecca Rideout, who's here from Told Video, to do some promotional shooting for a fly fishing campaign that we were putting together. And I was so focused in the film angles and so excited about the waders that I, at no point in preparing for that trip, ever imagined that a fish would actually make its way into the video. So when I reeled in and locked eyes with, I don't know, what did you say, Brian? Like a 3-4 foot trout, probably 5 foot, somewhere in there. Nobody was more surprised, not even the fish, than me. So let's just say that Brian is a fantastic guy. He can help you catch fish even when you're not really trying to. So please help me welcome Brian Gilbert to the podium.
How are we doing? As you know, Brian Gilbert. I own and operate Hilltown Anglers and Western Mass Guide Service. I provide guided fly fishing trips year-round, float and wade fishing trips, seasonal ice fishing, and some seasonal hunting trips. Thank you, Jesse, for having me here today to speak a little bit on my business and how I have part in the community and the Chamber of Commerce. I do have some notes here just to kind of keep me on track. I could talk for hours about fishing and not other things. So kind of set up a little Q&A, but one of the first questions I got was what led to guiding entry to Franklin County? Honestly, my guiding career simply stemmed from a passion to absorb the outdoors and be refueled by nature. Growing up, I always spent my time in the woods, on the river. I didn't play sports, wasn't an overly academic achiever by any means, and really just learned to love the outdoors and nature and didn't understand but gained the benefits at even a really young age. Fly fishing has always been a retreat for me, where I could take a moment to get away from everyday distractions of life and feel calm and grounded. In all honesty, it started out about catching fish in a primitive form. Little did I know, then it was so much more than just catching fish. As I became more aware of the core benefits, I began to feel the desire to share those with those I love and care about, and that slowly transformed into guiding, taking out family, friends, and in time, moving into a full-time career guiding. I started out part-time for the first couple of years providing guided wave trips, thinking someday I would retire into being a fishing guide. That only lasted about 2 seasons. And I now own 4 float rafts, have 4 guides that work for me as needed, and provide guided float trips and wave trips throughout Western Mass. 90% of them are here in Franklin County. And some of them are further out, a little bit further distances away, but the majority is right here locally. With family roots in Charlemont and Coleraine, it made it pretty easy to build my business locally here in Franklin County. This is my backyard. I've always loved living here. And my earliest memories of fishing were here on the Deerfield River with my grandfather. I can tell you how old I was. And some of the memories, my grandfather, when he would come to town to visit and stay at the flag stop, the camp. Many of you know that now as Crab Apple Whitewater, but it was once a little restaurant with some cabins you could rent. What makes Franklin County rivers and landscape unique suited to fishing and nature-based tourism? There's a lot. I could go on, and I tried to keep this as short as I could. The area really has so much to offer for any outdoor enthusiast, whether it be fishing, hunting, mountain biking, rafting. It's just kind of endless opportunities for the adventure seeker and outdoor enthusiast. And it's in one of the most amazing landscapes in Massachusetts. Many clients that come out to the area for the first time are in awe of the natural beauty here. They continuously share their appreciation for it and express the fact that they don't feel like they're even in Massachusetts. They feel like they're out west somewhere up in northern Vermont, and they're just simply blown away with the fact that they're still in Massachusetts, which is pretty neat. I enjoy that and hearing that response from all of them. Combine that with the fact that Franklin County truly offers some of the best trout fishing opportunities in the state and ranks well with potentially being some of the best in New England and in the country. It's got attention from anglers, across the country. The Deerfield River is the heart of the draw, but the tributaries that feed it from hilly terrain, mountainous landscape are just as important, providing needed cool, healthy water for sustainability of the trout population. So all that combined really contributes. It's not just the Deerfield River. These tributaries also offer many different fishing opportunities through the season, allowing us to accommodate anglers looking for specific experiences, whether it's small stream fishing, big river fishing, wave trips, float trips. There's a ton of variety. Aside from the well-known draw of the trout fishing, there's numerous other species that we target, providing many different opportunities. Coming up is the annual shad run. Usually starts at the end of this month, right through June, right in turns falls, and it's a ton of fun. It's a great change of pace from the trout fishing, and it's just a whole different fun experience in itself. Northern pike on the Connecticut River in the lower Deerfield, that's my favorite species to target. I won't lie, if you haven't done it, you should definitely try it. There's walleye, bass, perch, pickerel, just numerous species in different locations in the area. And there's something to fish for basically year-round. Another great opportunity that the area provides that many others don't is the ice fishing. Even with the mild winters we've had the past few years, where there's no ice in any part of the state or even much of New England, there's enough areas up in the hill towns where the higher elevation ponds freeze over. They freeze over early, and we've had safe ice, every year. So there really is something to fish for and angling opportunities throughout the season in Franklin County. Being part of the chamber and a small business in the area, one of the things I really enjoy about it is being able to contribute to some of the local economy as well. Roughly 80% of my clientele commute to Franklin County from the Boston area. And they almost always ask the same questions over and over again. Where can I stay? Where can I eat? Is there anything for my family to do while I'm fishing? Thankfully, we have Shelburne Springs for overnight accommodations and other small places, and hopefully more to come. A fair amount of quality dining in the area, plenty of great family adventure opportunities, visiting the shops in Shelburne Falls, Stopping Down Yankee Candle, Magical Wings, Bircheries, for any outdoor enthusiast, has a ton of options. So it makes it easy to send them places locally while they're here. And I truly enjoy that and feel good about that. And also, as far as contributing to the economy as well, as a guide in business, I use local, metal fab, for instance. I have fishing frames made for my boats. So I use, Rich Moody down in Deerfield. So, at first I had to think about it for a minute, like how, where is my place? How much am I actually contributing? People just coming out fishing and leaving, but they're not. And it does bring a lot of people into the area, and they usually stay and shop locally and do a lot of other local events, which is pretty neat. Some of the local environmental impacts and policies that definitely impact my business are, in last summer, for instance, is one, low water, the water levels, the weather and the environment, really can dictate a lot. Thankfully, there's enough opportunities in the area where there's always some place to fish, but it definitely has a significant impact on, planning and according to those environmental issues. High water events, for one, like we've had recently, great for the fishery, but presents a challenge for effective, fishing and increased concerns for safety. So, but then you move around and you find another spot. Low water levels, minimum flows through the winter and summer can greatly impact it. Low water in the winter, especially this last year going into winter, things tend to freeze more. The water's colder. You kind of leave some of the areas where you can fish. Versus the summer, it gets low and warm. Again, you're kind of seeking other alternate areas, and that's where the Deerfield really, historically, helps a lot. You got releases from the Pipe Brook Dam that present cold water, increased flows right through the whole summer months, which is good for myself as a guide service and anglers and floating, but also other industry businesses like the rafting companies and the kayaking and whatnot. Demand for outdoor experience. That has really increased. 2020, like many outdoor things, really there was a huge influx. It kind of tapered off a little bit, but each year consistently, continues. It definitely continues to grow. A reasonable percentage of this increase has been family or group oriented. Being organized by a member or group, and others that just look for experience and new adventures all together. Many times it's a client that came out and they want to share that experience with somebody else, and so on and so on, and continues to do so. I really enjoy the family trips a lot, being family oriented, and I've seen more and more of that. In the past, it was older gentlemen for the most part that were coming out and doing the fly fishing, and now it's couples, it's groups of women, it's families, really sharing it with everyone, and it's great that the area has that to offer, along with so many other, family-oriented activities. One of the few things, there's a few things that I can see where it'd be helpful to add to the mix over time. As far as the infrastructure part goes, increased local lodging would be very beneficial. That's probably one of the toughest ones when people ask, especially this time of year, the fishing gets really busy. You got a lot of graduations going on. That can be a difficult one, but helpful to change. Increase catch and release areas would be helpful. Pipe Brook Dam, the Zorg Gap right now is lacking, and it could be a good positive change for such. Stocking is very helpful. Mass Fish Wildlife does a great job stocking the upper Deerfield, or most of it, which is great. A lot of the anglers come out, they're just looking to catch fish. There is a great wild trout population, but it's not tremendous by any means. And the That's, like I said, Mass Fish and Wildlife does a great job of the stocking and keeps people coming back, basically. A river shuttle would be great. Something that, as far as floating goes, and even with the rafters or the kayakers, just a few improvements that I could see being very beneficial. Another question, Franklin County supporting guides and outfitters. It's been good, and I've learned a lot over the last couple of years in collaborating with the chamber and other local businesses, especially when it comes to food, lodging, entertainment, and doing events, hosting and eating events that follow up by fishing the next day, collaborative marketing, but most importantly, having a broader voice in the community, whether it be for conservation work, like river cleanups, sharing events, or negotiating regulation changes that can impact businesses. But in reference to like conservation work, as an example, last year I held a river cleanup. But with that river cleanup, one, it's giving back to the environment, the river that we use every day. Two, we incorporated a raffle where all funds raised went to a couple nonprofits that support veterans and military first responders and getting them out on the water to enjoy the benefits of the area and the fishing. So that's probably one of the ones I enjoy and appreciate the most. Why do I love fishing? Living and owning a business in Franklin County. That one's pretty easy, and I tried to limit it as much as I could. Having family roots to the area, with memories going back as far as I can remember, is probably the first reason. Living here and being on the water keeps the fondest of my memories of my youth alive, reminding me of the importance to make and share new memories with my own family, friends, and clients alike. Having people be part of their first time catching a fish or catching a fish on a fly rod really is an enjoyable experience and humbling. Many of those moments I find myself reflecting upon and pretty surreal, being thankful for what I do and the services I provide. I love the area. There's endless fishing opportunities, some of the most beautiful landscapes in New England. Collaborating with it and supporting friends who own small businesses, that brings me pure joy, watching them succeed and being able to have part in helping other businesses build themselves and bring more to the economy. And with the combination of these reasons, I really couldn't ever imagine living or building my business elsewhere. It really is a great community, it's a great county, and there's a tremendous amount of local outdoor activities and recreational stuff to be had and still to come. Couple questions at the end here that, okay.
We were going to introduce Jessica Atwood. If you've heard me talk about her before, she is better than Google when it comes to Franklin County. She regrets the day she gave me her cell phone. I call her for everything. I should probably pay her a consultant fee. Welcome, Jessica Atwood.
Good afternoon. So I'm the Director of Planning at the Franklin Regional Council of Governments, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how FERCOG is involved in outdoor recreation, which folks may not expect. We are the regional and municipal service organization and regional planning agency for the 26 municipalities of Franklin County. In that regional planning agency, RPA function, we have multiple disciplines that are engaged in outdoor recreation. And so I'll give you a few examples. We have a land use and natural resources program. That staff works with municipalities on open space and recreation plans. Those are the plans in your communities, and you can get involved when those are being created. You can fill out the survey, you can be a part of the committee. These plans lay out what you want to conserve for open space in your community and what kind of recreational assets you want to have in your community and retain. And the beautiful thing about these plans is once they're approved by the state, it opens up resources for grants to create new parks. So that's one way we're involved. and our economic development planning program. Our plans identify outdoor and adventure recreation and cultural tourism as a key industry and economic driver for the region. As you know, these businesses are place-based, they're locally owned. They rely on a natural environment that is healthy and resilient, all things that are important to our communities. As we've been talking about, it attracts visitors to the region that support the small businesses that we as residents also enjoy, so that's the added bonus. We work in economic development at a regional scale and at a local scale, and I'll give an example of both. We did a study recently on the outdoor recreation on the Deerfield River. One of the products of that was actually a public safety map that identified recreation access points along the river for public safety officials to be able to reference in times of emergency. A hyper-focused local project that we work on, and it's probably one of the projects that I get most appreciated for, is the porta potties at the Shunpike rest area. We work with the town of Charlemont to get those each year in the summer. Our transportation planning program, they were responsible for the Canal Side Rail Trail back in 2008. We have 5 designated scenic byways in Franklin County, and if you want to know what those are, check out bywayswestmass.com. We've also had our staff be hired to explore new hiking trails. Recently, one is being explored for Heath and Row that could connect the Catamount State Forest with the Mohawk Trail State Forest. So that's being explored. This summer, we have a major outdoor rec project happening, thanks to the Mass Office of Outdoor Recreation. Our staff will be inventorying the various outdoor rec assets in the community, throughout the county, I should say. Put it into a database that's going to go to the state. The state's going to create a statewide database of outdoor recreation assets that'll be the backbone for a new website that'll be a fantastic resource. Let's see here. So, I'm talking about the FERCOG, the organization that I work for. But we work with a lot of partners, and there's a lot of regional organizations that are doing a lot of great work in this area. We've already talked about the Franklin County Chamber of Commerce. The More to Franklin County campaign is tremendous. Greenfield Community College has been a leader in the outdoor recreation space for decades. They have an adventure education program that has an associate's degree with classes in outdoor adventure skills, natural history, wilderness, first responder, and the GCC's workforce development team is unbeatable. If you have a business or you're in an industry and you need support for career training, those are the folks to talk to. Mass Hire, Franklin Hampshire Workforce Board, they host the Outdoor Recreation Alliance Group, which is a group made up of employers in the outdoor recreation industry to talk about workforce needs and opportunities. And if you have a business, a small business in Franklin County, or you want a small business in Franklin County, we have the Franklin County Community Development Corporation providing technical assistance and financing resources for entrepreneurs and existing businesses. I think the key takeaway that we've all talked about is in Franklin County, the outdoor recreation industry is recognized and supported. It's integral to our identity and our character. And for a rural region like ours that really needs to retain our young professionals and attract young professionals and young families to this area, this is part of that quality of life. It's part of the message we need to share with others to make sure that they acknowledge how great Franklin County is to live and work. And I have to go.
Thank you, Jessica. That porta potty queen and hiking trail tester, just 2 of the jobs that you could have if you work at the FERCOG. We're going to introduce our next speaker, but let me just remind you that there are cookies in the back, there is a cash bar, and there is a river of a raffle still to come, so hang in there. All right, next is someone who really needs no introduction, and that is John Schaefer, who's the owner of Berkshire East. His family bought Berkshire East in the 70s for $1, which John jokingly says is the worst dollar ever spent, but clearly it paid off. Today, Berkshire East is a year-round adventure hub with skiing, snowboarding, whitewater rafting, mountain biking, zip lining, mountain coaster, and an aerial adventure park. There's just so much to do there. So please join me in welcoming John Schaefer, a true trailblazer who continues to elevate outdoor recreation.
I'm setting my timer. So I'm going to go a little off script, Jesse, so I apologize. with that introduction and some of the statistics, I'll go a little more detail. Berkshire East skis about 100,000 people each year. We do 30,000 mountain bikers and maybe another 20,000 multi-use visits between whitewater rafting, zip lines, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I also operate catamount ski area in southern Berkshire County, and that's another 125,000 ski visits. So the total, we're bringing in 275,000, maybe even 300,000 people to Western Massachusetts. And how did I end up here? Well, the dollar was a thing. I also left for a while. So the tools that I was given for life really came from Western Massachusetts. And my life has always revolved around outdoor recreation. So mountain biking up and down the mountain to train for ski racing, which we did at the resort, really brought me all over the world. So I've lived in New Zealand, traveled in Europe, I've skied, and I've done a lot of different recreation activities. And every single one of them I can do within 5 miles of my home at Berkshire East. Now the mountains may not look as sexy as the Southern Alps, but you can certainly, these guys, the biggest fish caught in a fly in New England was caught in the upper Deerfield, and it's a 20-pound brown trout. There's class 4 whitewater. The skiing's good enough. The biking's excellent. From where we sit right now, there's probably 10 mountain bike trail networks that none of you know about with 200 miles of trails. And why is mountain biking important? It's because more than double the number of mountain bike rides are taken each year in the United States than rounds of golf played. And so we're sitting on a Pinehurst National and Augusta National of opportunity to build houses and to have second homes and to give this place a real joie de vivre about who we are and what we can be around outdoor recreation. But the vision has to be big. When I drive from Charlemont to North Adams, I go by Tannery Falls, which is a 100-foot waterfall out in the woods with no sign, and it's impossible to get to. So we are working on the storytelling, and there's a lot of great things that are happening, but the vision has to be bigger. And we are talking about the lifeblood of our communities around outdoor recreation. In Massachusetts, it represented about $13 billion, more than the state of Vermont and New Hampshire combined in terms of income. And it's a big part of who we are as a state, but it can be a lot bigger, particularly in these hill towns, which have been overlooked for the last 50, 60 years. And so, we do get our clock cleaned by Vermont, which is a couple of good driver hits that way. On 91, crossing back into Massachusetts on Sundays, we average about 15,000 cars. And it's almost 1 million cars a year if you do the math, and that's a 10-year-old study, so I'm sure the numbers are higher. And we don't need 13,000 cars a weekend pulling into Franklin County, but we do need 250 or 300. And I think most of those people are driving straight through our state without stopping and buying coffee or visiting stores or going to our communities and paying tax dollars that pay, the bills around tourism. So there's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot we can do. On the housing front, there's a $15 million build going into Charlemont right now with Hinata Retreat, and that's going to bring 32 glamping cabins to the Warfield House, and it's going to be an awesome, awesome facility. So on the flip side of that, this is like the Richter scale of good news, bad news. We are underrepresented of lodging units dramatically across Franklin County, and I have worked pretty hard trying to bring in developers, and Hinata was the first one that bit, and hopefully there's more that follow. But the incentives to bring in development around lodging and bringing in extra stuff, it's like this corner of the world is just sitting on this precipice of really good and responsible growth. I mean, I think we always have to be grounded in responsible growth, but we're right there. And the Hinata retreats of the world and the work that's being done in this room can help push the ball down the mountain to gather more steam. And so while there has been a lot of great things that have happened, and we've come a long way over the last 5-10 years or my entire life, there's still a lot of work to be done. And I'm thankful to Jesse and the work that we have and the conversations that we do, Natalie and a lot of other folks in this room. But there's a lot we can do better. We can tell our story better. We do get our butts whooped by Vermont on that front a lot. There's $2 billion a year of tourism traffic between Vermont and Massachusetts, and as far as I'm concerned, it's still the same Appalachians with a different name. And we can do it, and we definitely have a bright future of growing outdoor recreation in Franklin County. And we're going to keep at it. You know, my kids are growing up here, and we're not going anywhere. It's one of the best places to live on the planet. And we're always thankful to be here and thankful to help in any way we can. So thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Real quick, I do just want to say thank you again to Mont, because there has been $30,000 that we as a chamber have been able to invest to help promote foot traffic to Berkshire East over the last 3 years. And so, you know, we're excited to work with John and work with the state, like you said, to continue to grow that vision. Our next guest and our final guest reminds us that outdoor recreation isn't just about getting your boots muddy or your paddle in the water. It's also about music, community, and purpose. So Frank Tate is the new owner of Soul Fest. Has everybody here heard of Soul Fest? Okay, it is a multi-day music festival that happens at the Franklin County Fairgrounds. They found Franklin County Fairgrounds last year and have really grown it. And Frank has a very interesting history. He worked for MTV for a number of years. He's traveled the world. Kate, I'm sorry to report he beats you for longest commute, because Frank and his business partner Beverly are joining us today from Hawaii. So, yeah, you're a visitor. Thanks for coming with tourism. But I just want to say, before Frank gets up and tells you about the work they're doing, how grateful I am for Frank and for Bev, because they have put Franklin County at the heart of every part of this music festival. This is the kind of partnership that we see under Michael Nelson at the fairground. It is not just people coming in, setting up shop, and leaving. They are committed, they are building partnerships, and they are thinking strategically about how they can elevate our businesses and our communities. So a big, big thank you to Frank before he even gets started for having that be the motivation with which they plan this music festival. So please help me welcome Frank.
Thank you guys, such an honor to be here. So rather than tell you what we do, I want to tell you why we do it, so if that's all right with you. So I grew up in the foster care program, and from age 8, I decided I wanted to be the dad I didn't get to have. So I just studied, what do great dads do? What do they don't do? How do you do that? Been studying how to make kids happy for a long time, and I love it. So in 2012, I have 2 kids. I have a son and a daughter. They're polar opposites. I have an introvert academic son and an extrovert social daughter. So in 2012, we, from the Bay Area originally, and San Francisco back at that time had way too many young rich people that were just obnoxious as all get out. So I wanted to get out of there for a while. So we moved to the middle of nowhere, Costa Rica for a year, right on the beach, had a little tiny village of about 2,000 people, had a blast there. And we had a little beach house right there, so our front yard was the water and our backyard was the jungle. And my daughter, who's the happiest human I know, one day she comes blasting through the door, gives me a super loud, "Hola, padre!" And she had on this new brown bikini that I'd never seen. And she's 11 years old at the time. I go, "Hey, sis, you know, that's a beautiful bikini. Where'd you get it?" And she goes, "Oh, you know, I got it from Sarah's shop." And I said, "Oh, I love it. It looks really cute." And so she starts to walk upstairs to get something. And I said, "Hey, by the way, how much was the bikini?" And she yells down, "It was $50. So I said, "Hey, $50, come here. Where'd you get $50? So she comes downstairs and she's super animated, super loud young little lady. She goes, "Dad, it was so cool. I'm at Sarah's shop, which is a bikini shop." She said, "I spotted this bikini and I loved it. It was $50 and I didn't have $50. So I thought for a minute and I asked Sarah, "Hey Sarah, if I get Malia to give you a free massage, can I have this bikini?" And Malia's our friend who does massage. And Sarah said, "Yeah, massage is $60. That's only $50. I'll do it in a second." So I went and found Malia, who has a 1-year-old, and I said to Malia, "Hey, if I babysit Fire 3 times for free, can you give Sarah a free massage?" And she said, "Yeah." And she was available, so I took her to the massage shop, or to the bikini shop, and I watched the store and the baby, and I got the bikini. And she starts to walk upstairs. And I'm like, "Wait a second, this is amazing. This is win-win-win business. You got a bikini, she got a massage, and Malia got a babysitter. I'm so proud of you." And she goes, "Whatever, Dad, I just like the bikini." And that's when I realized that as humans, we don't really celebrate who we are, right? She just thought it was no big deal. Here I'm thinking my 11-year-old is a business genius, and then she's just thinking it was no big deal. She liked the bikini. Well, fast forward 4 months, we get back to California, and it's the day before school. And she's sitting at the counter. This is the happiest 11-year-old you've ever met in your life. And she looked super sad and depressed, like something was wrong. And I sat down, I'm like, Juliana, what happened? Are you okay? And she wouldn't even talk to me, which is unusual. I mean, talk about loud and obnoxious. This is my daughter. And she wouldn't even take her head up. And so finally, after a few minutes, I said, what happened? And without even taking her head up, she said, Dad, I don't want to go back to school. I'm like, what do you mean? Your friend, you haven't seen him in a year. You're going to be so excited to see him. And she shakes her head and she goes, no, Dad, I'm not smart like Christian. I'm dumb. And I'm thinking, my genius daughter thinks she's dumb and doesn't want to go back to school. So I said, no, you're not dumb. You're a social genius. Christian is an academic genius. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to go to school and I want straight C's on your report card. But I want them to say Juliana's the happiest kid in the school. Juliana's the most helpful. She's such a joy. We love having Juliana in class. And she goes, you don't want me to get A's? And I'm totally winging it at this part. I'm like, no. A's for academics, C's for charisma. You have charisma, get C's. So I thought that would cheer her up, right? So she goes, I figure as soon as she sees her friend, she's going to be fine. Next day she comes home from school still sad. Dad, I hate it. Please, Dad, don't make me go back to school. I'm so dumb. This is killing me. And so the next day, same thing. Dad, please, can we move back to Costa Rica? I already have homework. This sucks. Can we please go back and live on the beach? And this is breaking my heart because I mean, being a dad is my dream. And I'm trying to think, how do I make my little bikini-getting girl happy again? So I figured I was asking her the wrong question. I was asking how was school. So on the Monday, I didn't ask her how was school. I said, hey, Juliana, did you make anybody laugh today? And she goes, no, why? I said, well, because you're funny. Why else would you go to school? You should go and make people laugh. And she goes, really? I'm like, yeah, just make them laugh. So, mind you, I'm not telling my ex-wife any of this at the time. But so she comes back the next day. She comes run up the driveway. Dad, school was awesome. There was this new girl, Rachel, and she was sitting by herself, and I invited her to our table, and now we're besties. It was so great. And next day, she's come running back. So I get my happy girl back now because she's finally celebrating who she is instead of mourning who she's not. So she no longer thinks that she's dumb. She now realizes that she's funny. So fast forward 4 months, and this is back when they mailed the report cards. The report card came in the mail, and I broke into a sweat because I hadn't told my ex about the plan of getting C's. I think I'm going to get killed. Well, I open it up, all the comments I wanted. Juliana's amazing, this and that. But then straight A's for the first time in her life. So I bring her home. I'm like, sis, I'm so proud of you for these comments. How'd you get A's? And she said, Dad, it's the weirdest thing. My entire life I thought I was dumb, so I would never raise my hand, and I just bring my homework home and hope that you or Christian would help me. She goes, but when you told me to be funny, I just made the teachers my friend, so now when I have a question, I just raise my hand and ask my friend. It's like, that's amazing. You celebrated who you are, and you're not mourning who you are. I was so proud of her. Well, thought the lesson was over, but 2 weeks later, I'm at my son's volleyball game, and I get a call or a text from the principal. It says, congratulations, Juliana just won the county science award. So I'm like, no, wait. Luckily, there were 2 Julianas in the class, so I called them. I'm like, oh, you meant to send this to the Asian Juliana. You sent it to me instead. And he texts back, no, your daughter just won the county science award. Well, I'm super embarrassed to say, but I'm thinking, oh, no, she cheated. How do I tell her not to cheat? Because she hates science, right? So I come back home. She comes running out to the driveway with a $300 check in her hand. Dad, I won the science award. And I've said, that's great. How'd you do it? I thought you hate science. She said, I totally hate science. She said, but Mrs. Swan is such a nice teacher that I just invited myself to have lunch with her 3 times throughout the year, and she did it for me. And I was like, okay, you are a genius. I love you. You got your teacher to do it with you. Mrs. Swan got $100. She got $300. I said, now don't cheat. Try to do it in the future. But the point is, she finally celebrated who she was, and she no longer thought she was dumb. She realized that she was social. So the reason that Bev and I bought Soulfest last year is because loneliness is an epidemic right now. I don't know if you guys realize this, but the Northeast is the loneliest part of the entire country. So kids today, they're not celebrating who they are. They're scrolling. I'm not this pretty. I'm not this popular. I'm not this skinny. I'm not at this party. They're totally going into loneliness that's turning into isolation, and it's brutal. So what we want to do with Soulfest is the whole theme of the festival. It's a music festival for 3 days. It's a Christian festival, but not the kind of Christian festival that says we're right and you're wrong. It's the kind of Christian festival that says God is love and that we want you to live a great story. So throughout the 3 days, we're going to be asking people, hey, what makes your heart sing? What's easy for you that's not easy for all? I'll be asking them effectively, what's your brown bikini? Because the reality is none of us really remember our brown bikini anymore because we're trading time for money, we're busy, we're stressed. We don't realize what's easy for us isn't easy for all. So we're going to try to encourage everybody who comes to figure out what they love doing and who needs what they love doing so that they can live a better story by using their gifts to serve others, which is really what Christianity is about. It just got goofy with the dogma. So Soulfest is 3 days. We couldn't be more honored to be here. I've done shows all around the world in the last 40 years, starting with MTV, and then I owned a record company. without any exaggeration at all, Michael, Steve, and the Sues are the nicest venue we've ever worked with. So we want to make Franklin Canyon famous because our audience is the entire country. We're inviting everybody out that enjoys music, that wants to come and live a great story, wants to come and have an adventure. And what we're really selling is friendship. Our goal is that everybody leaves with 3 or 4 new friends and that they love Franklin Canyon because that's where those friendships started. So thank you guys for hosting this. I mean, we've never been here. We live in Kona, Hawaii, and this is awesome that you guys finally have sunshine. We're 0 for 5 on the sunshine here, so it's nice to know it exists. But thank you for everything. Anybody, if you have businesses that want to advertise out there, we have a lot of people that are coming through that want to know about your place. But more than anything, thank you for being so nice. You guys are unbelievably nice, and this is incredible. So we want to see if we can help a lot of young people and old people live a great story by having a fun weekend together, making some friends, listening to great music, and now fishing, because I love fishing. So but thank you guys so much. It's great to meet you.
C is for charisma. I love that. Good thing I didn't know that when I was in school. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us. Thank you, Kate. Thank you for being here to celebrate outdoor recreation kind of in the environment in which it deserves. I think, today hopefully reminded us that every paddle, pedal, and powder day fuels something bigger. Jobs, local spending, sustainability, and community pride. I know it's tough when we drive sometimes during the busy seasons and you can't find a parking pass, or it's a little bit congested around the rotary. That's good news. That is good news. No one is happier when I call to order a pizza and they say they're sold out, or when Shelby says, nope, we're booked. I hope we all continue to celebrate what growth is possible within Franklin County. So thank you so much, not just for kind of leading the conversation, but for really advocating and being the heart of outdoor recreation in Franklin County. I'd also like to shout out, where's Jerry Wayland? There he is, Jerry Wayland, who's here from Billy Go Boats in Orange. We're doing a collaboration next week. And if all of you who's followed North Franklin County on your phones, did you see that Bee Fest reel that we did yesterday? We posted that yesterday. Do you know how many views that has already? 38,000. So that is the kind of momentum that we are building here.